right. Hi, guys. My name is Corri McFadden. I see a lot of familiar faces from Simply Stylist Chicago. I founded a company called Shop eDropoff. For those of you who aren't familiar, eDropoff's been around since 2004, and we are one of the largest luxury consignment companies in the country. We sell over 2,500 unique luxury items a week, and we're basically the concierge to your closet. We can turn your closet into cash, and we can fill your closet with all those treasures that you thought you could never afford. I started eDropoff in 2004, and what I'm going to talk about today is just really marketing yourself as your own brand. Of course, we'll touch on social media, but a lot of things that are outside of social media that a lot of times we forget about. I started eDropoff in 2004, and at the time, the only thing that existed was MySpace. Facebook was starting, but that was about it. There was no social media leverage. So when I started my company, I was 22 years old. I went to school for fashion design. I had a big dream. I was up late one night sewing my final collection. A commercial for an eBay store came on, and I was like, I'm going to open an eBay store. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sell luxury items, and I'm going to start an eBay luxury store. Went to my program director. She thought I was absolutely crazy. She looked me in the eye. She asked me who I thought I was and told me it was the worst idea that she's ever heard. And what I did was I took that as fuel, and I missed my college graduation 3 months later to go to eBay Live in New Orleans. I opened up my first store July 1st of 2004, and I never looked back. But when I opened up my first store, I opened it up with $36 in my pocket, and you're probably like, how in the hell did you open a retail store with $36? What I did was I went into the bank with my business plan. I got a line of credit. I got an SBA loan, and I dug myself into some deep debt. And basically what I did was I created a situation for myself where failure was not an option. But I had so much passion mixed with that I wasn't worried. I basically hustled very, very hard, hustled in heels, hustled in a good way, and I started building my niche. But what I found was I had no marketing dollars, and social media didn't exist. So now, you know, a lot of us are blessed because we can create our content, we can create those great posts, you can market yourself, but I didn't have that leverage. So what I had to do was I literally had to like hit the pavement in my heels. I had to man-hour market. And it was like, well, what is networking? Because when we're all in school, you hear networking, and you're like, really, like, I'm going to stand around in like a bad suit and drink a glass of wine with a bunch of people that I probably have nothing in common with. But that's not what networking is. Networking is really finding people that align with your passion, your vision, and people that not necessarily are in the same field, but could be an asset to you, and you could be an asset to them. So what I started doing was I started going to luncheons. I would be the girl that would be at, you know, a charity luncheon. I had one nice dress. I had one Oscar dress. I bought it on consignment, and that was my luncheon dress. I styled it different ways, of course, so no one knew I was re-wearing it, but that was my ticket in, essentially. You know, I'm from very humble upbringing, Midwest, from Kansas City. I didn't grow up, you know, being dripped in Chanel, and you know, I just ate at Fred's at Barney's this afternoon. It was like rich kids of Instagram. It was kind of fabulous, I'm not gonna lie, but I was like, oh my God, like, look at these children. But I didn't have that, and so what I did was I would show up, I would buy a ticket, you know, I wouldn't eat out for the whole month, so I could afford a $200 ticket to the luncheon, and I'd show up at the table, and I would be the girl that no one knew. And I remember one day, one woman was like, how did you get here? And I was like, in a cab, how did you get here? And you know, I never let them take me down to where a lot of people want to do that. They don't know you, or maybe you're pretty, or cute, or they like your shoes, and the first thing they want to do is kind of cast their insecurities upon you. And you know, you have to be sound in where you're at, confident, and you're like, I'm here to work the room. And so at the end of the day, I would walk away with 12 contacts that I didn't have before. And they were 12 valuable contacts. They were 12 women that were housing designer items in their closets that I wanted to get to. And what I would do is I would get their contact information, and then I'd follow up with them, and I'd say, can we have a coffee? Kind of like you did with me in Chicago. And you know, I'd go out there on a limb, and sometimes they would say no, sometimes I wouldn't hear back, and sometimes they'd say yes. And the ones that I would say yes, then I would have a familiar face in the room. So the next luncheon I would go to, I would actually know people, and then they would introduce me to people. And it's really the trickle-down effect. And you know, it's a lot of what social media is. You'll meet someone, and then you'll suddenly get some of their followers because they mention you. It's the same concept, but it goes so much further when you're in person. And it's a lot about how you follow up. It's making an impression. So I can stand here in front of all you guys today and you're like, oh, she's fabulous, but then I walk out the room and you forget me. It's how do you follow up when you make that impression? The biggest thing I can say is invest in your stationery. Get an amazing stationery. Get that great paper, get something that no one's seen, get it letterpressed, and write a handwritten thank you card. Don't send a text, don't send an email. An email is great, but send a card, something that you took time to actually sit down, write. It's really a lost art, and it goes so far. I'm a big fan of Sprinkles cupcakes, so if the girl eats sweets, send her over a couple cupcakes with the card and make that impression to where she stops in the day and she's like, wow, this is really great, to where she wants to invest effort back in you. And really, that's how I built my business for the first 7 years. I did not invest $1 in marketing. My whole business was built on hitting the streets, making contacts, making groups, and following through. And you know, now I have a staff of 46 people that work full time for me. I work very, very hard, but I work free. And even to this day, you know, I'm extremely successful, I'm extremely blessed, but I do more free work than anyone could ever imagine. I'm on TV every week. I have a weekly segment on WCIU and on Fox. They're 2 fashion segments. I write them. They give me 7 minutes, and I look at it as they give me 7 minutes. They don't pay me to do it. They give me 7 minutes on TV, and that's 7 minutes in front of people that I can make an impression. I can be talking about whether it's how to find the right lipstick for you on a consumer level. I've really reached out of consignment to where I could have got trapped in a box to where all I talked about was how to consign items, how to clean your closet, how to resole your shoes, how to depill your jacket. But that only goes so far. You have to find ways that are still relevant, but putting yourself out of the box. So now, you know, I'm not a blogger. I do have my own website. This is CorriMcFadden.com. But really that has served as a landing spot for all the brand work and things that I do. So I'm passionate about helping people find their way and find a good look for them and finding the right lipstick. But I'm not a makeup artist. I'm a consumer, just like many of you, that loves makeup, loves shoes, loves to work out. And so I found a way to make all of those things relevant and make myself an expert as a consumer. You don't have to be a makeup artist, or you don't have to, you know, be in retail to talk about it. You can be passionate about it and be relatable. It's about finding your niche, finding your audience. And you know, a lot of social media, everyone's so hung up on the numbers. Like, she's got 434,000 followers. She's not that great. How did she get she's doing something right if she got 434,000 followers and you look below and she has 2,300 comments. But if she has 400,000 followers, she has 2 comments and 50 likes, you're like, well, that's what I get. So you have the same audience that she has. It's all about engagement. And I'll touch briefly on, I actually made a mess up last night on my own social media, which I'm really conscious about what I share, but I'm a real person. I have nothing to hide. Life is not all gloss. Everyone in the fashion world thinks that it is. We all see a filtered version of each other. Instagram, social media, it's the best version of us a lot of times. And that's fine, but we all have hiccups, we all have hurdles, we all have shit days, and really it's about not letting a problem become bigger than you are. It's about remembering those really good days when things just suck, because they always turn around. And it's about not engaging and giving into it. So if there is negativity, the worst thing you can do is rebuttal. Because what it's gonna do is it's gonna start context, it starts going back and forth, back and forth. And a lot of times, a lot of other issues come out of that than was the first issue. So last night, for example, I was flying into New York. I was flying in late. My plane didn't land until almost 1 a.m. And I was on a flight, and for all you mothers and fathers in here, this is not offensive to children, but I did offend some children. So I was on a flight, and I was sitting next to the 2 most horrific children I have ever met in my life. I mean, I am talking, they were terrible, and I love kids. But the mother decided she didn't want to sit with her kids because they were so bad. So she sat on this side. Lucky me, you know, I checked in late, C49. I sat on this side with her 2 little angels. And they were screaming, they were kicking, they were punching, they were kicking the seats in front of them, they were throwing their toys in the aisle, and the mother was yelling at them over me. So I kindly say, would you like to switch seats? And she's like, no, no, no. And I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. So me, what do? I take that pretty shot because I had my makeup professionally done, take it on myself, and I'm like off to New York, sitting next to the two most miserable children. Hashtag I want to strangle their mom. Well, not being a mother, I didn't realize how many people I was going to offend. So I touched down, turn on my phone, holy shit. All of a sudden, I had 96 comments that were not comments. Each one was this long. And my feed is like this, and I'm like, oh, this is not good. And so I open it up, and it's every single San Francisco mom to Pennsylvania mom had dismantled me. And about how I don't know my lane, you're wrong, how can you say that? Wait till you have kids. And I'm, I could have gone into the whole story and said what everything was, and instead I simply just deleted the picture and made it go away. Because if I was to get in there and rebuttal, those moms are going to come back at me. They're already fuming. They are on fire. And so the worst thing you can do is fuel the fire. It's just put it out. Make it go away. Guess what? The likelihood of me meeting those followers, and if you're in here, I'm very sorry. You've heard the real story now. But the likelihood of me meeting those followers is very, very slim. But the likelihood of me offending my whole entire audience is really high if they start to see me going back and forth, because then it's like they start passing judgment, like, look at Corri, what's she doing, why is this happening, like, and you don't want that. It's just put it out. So when things like that happen, and someone's like, dang, you look fat in those, and you're like, I look flipping good. That's why I posted the picture in the first place. Don't say that. You look good. You felt good about it. It's your choice. Just let it be there. Let it sit. We know we can delete the comment, but a lot of times it's better to let it sit because then people see true colors. But otherwise, just make it go away. Don't rebuttal. Don't give in to the negativity. It's just part of being in the industry. It comes with it. It's part of it, and you just have to be prepared for it. We're all here for a reason. We all have a passion. We have a similar passion. Everyone's a little different, but it's important that you're just content with yourself. You find your road that you want to be on, because that will always make you give the best you. And that's what you want to do, because we all know when you're in a situation and you don't want to be there, you off-put that energy. And so only put yourself in situations where you want to be. Obviously, we all have to work. We all have days you don't want to be there. You still need to be there and put on a smile. But when it comes to social engagement and things that you're choosing to be at, make sure you want to be there, because you want to off-put the best you. And when you're not, well, we all know how we can be. And my last thing, just I want to touch on briefly, is I find yourself in a good relationship. You're better off alone than in a bad relationship. And I always say it, but it's a point that really touches with everyone, because a lot of times you get content, you get comfortable. The only way to truly be successful is to either be on your own and believe in yourself, or to be with someone that supports you, elevates you, and pushes you. Because when you are with someone that brings you down, he will bring, or she will bring you down, and suddenly you will find yourself questioning yourself, second guessing, is this really what I want to do? You know what you want to do, and the only person you should be with is someone that believes in you, motivates you, and pushes you, and it will just make the best, most marketable version of you. So that's all I have. Are there any questions? Does anyone have anything? I love these events. This is my second one. You guys are all so awesome. I think it's just great that everyone's here to help each other. Yes? Are you going to do another TV show? Okay, so I did have a reality show on VH1, House of Consignment. I have something else brewing. Legally, I can't talk about it, but you'll see me again. So anything else? So yes? Facebook, does it tell you when you're doing like the little segments on the local TV show? Yeah, like I feed everything through my social media. So Pose, Instagram, you name it. My name is just Corri McFadden. I feed all my segments, and you can go to CorriMcFadden.com. I have all of my segments on there as well. But yeah, no, you can upload video on Facebook. I think it doesn't have a lot of engagement and follow through like other channels, but I upload everything that I do. So, yeah. Oh, you can send me a cupcake to 2117 North Halsted. I will take cupcakes, flowers. No, but yeah, it's just it's just output a version that you would want to see of someone else. Just how would you want to see a follow up? Yeah.
I have a quick question for you. You mentioned that you provide like a lot of free services.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like, what is exactly that you do
Yeah, like I'm queen of free. So I do a lot of mentoring. All my TV for the most part is free. I do a lot of brand relationships. You don't need to be paid for everything. A lot of it's about building relationship. You never know what will come up. I had worked with The Limited in the past, and they called me last month, and I just hosted their 50th birthday party for them in Chicago. It was a sweet gig, 30 minutes, great pay, and that you never know when that's going to happen. It's really just about putting yourself out there in all relevant channels. It always comes together, and it always comes back. You just never know when. So it's plant as many seeds as you can, and they will start to bloom. It's just, sometimes your tulips don't come up in the spring. You're like, come on. But they'll come up the next season when you didn't expect it. So it's just about doing it, and you don't have to be paid for everything. That's a big misconception, is everyone thinks that you have to be paid, and you don't. You will be paid in some other way, but just love what you do, and then it doesn't matter if you're getting paid or not. Yeah. And I feel really bad. I'm talking about marketing, but I actually left my business cards in the back of the plane seat last night because I was so disoriented, along with my iPad, because I had a visual too. I'm getting it back. But it is CorriMcFadden.com. It's on your schedule, so that's my hashtag, and you can @ me there. But thank you guys so much for listening. I'll be around, so if you have any questions, I'll be here. Thanks, guys. You guys are so sweet.